Okay, so we basically are presenting art by Yasmina, Reza, and me, Whit here, and Darnell both made this presentation.
Alright, so Yasmina Reyes was born in France, May 1st, 1959. She was a dramatist, novelist, director, and actress, but is she best known for her satirical plays that comment on middle-class anxieties. She studied theater and sociology at the University of Paris and Nantes, and studied at the drama school of Jacques Lecoq in Paris. After school, she briefly began working as an actress before starting and writing plays. Her first two plays both won Moliere Awards, which are the French Tony Award equivalent. Conversations After a Barrel in 1987 won for Best Author, and Winter's Crossing in 1990 won the award for Best French Production. Her most famous play, Art, premiered in Paris in 1994 and won the Moliere Award for Best Author, Best Play, and Best Production.
So let's give some historical background of art. It was basically set in the 1990s during the economic depression in France. And during this time, France had a treaty that they made called the Maastricht Treaty. And this was one of two treaties that would form basically the European Union. And because of this decline, before entering a time of globalism and openness, people feared these shifts and had anxieties, especially in the middle class, as in this play. And so basically Serge buys an expensive painting, and Mark is anxious about it, and essentially he fears that he wasted his money over nothing.
Alright, so a brief synopsis. It's set in Paris. The play revolves around three friends, Serge, Mark, and Yavin. Serge buys a painting for 200,000 francs and then shows his friends to get their approval. Mark hates the painting and blasts Serge for buying it, calling it, and I quote, a piece of white shit. He believes the purchase to be a cool joke. Yavin is eager to please. He's kind of easily manipulative and influenced, so he laughs about the painting when around Mark, but tells Serge he likes it. He tries to mediate between things, but it kind of backfires on them, so they begin taking out their frustrations on him. And the friends use the painting as an excuse to just kind of emotionally abuse each other with past failures that keep coming up, and so the play turns personal. And they come close to destroying their friendship. So Serge, to mend things, gives Mark a felt tip pen and tells him to deface the painting, which he does. And then Yavin's crying, asking him not to. Serge and Mark clean the painting, and both learn that the felt tip pens are washable. And both ask the other if they knew this, and they both deny it. But it's later revealed in a monologue that Serge knew all along that it was you could wash off felt tipped ink, and it basically begins their new period of friendship with a lie.
So here's a brief summary of the characters. So Serge is a dermatologist who was divorced, and he can't really see his children that much. He's relied on his friendship with Mark and Yvonne for years, basically for company and comfort since he's divorced. And he's the one who buys this painting that is so controversial among the friends. And he's unsure about it, but once he finds out how much Mark is against, he begins defending the painting. So essentially, it's not really about the painting, it's about their relationship with each other and how this painting affects it. This reveals to the audience that the pen was washable, and so essentially this gave them a restart with a lie.
Okay, so Mark, he's an engineer and an intellectual, and he's a self-proclaimed athlete who has trouble seeing the meaning in modern art. He is pompous, egotistic, and codependent, and his whole world is basically turned upside down when he believes that he's failed to educate Serge on art appreciation and aesthetics after Serge purchases the painting in question. He tries to act as a mentor to Serge, which actually has been a crux to form his own identity, so he's codependent on Serge, and his character arc ties into the themes of cruelty and betrayal.
So Yvonne is a stationery company, or he works at a stationery company that belongs to his fiance's uncle. Easily influenced, he's sort of the mediator in their troubles over the painting, and he asked for Mark for his opinion on the painting, but it actually moves Yvonne, so he has more of a appreciation for art. It draws resentment of Mark and Serge once he self-appoints himself as the referee, and they call him a, quote, amoeba, and they also begin to question his masculinity due to his marriage.
And a little bit more background, like his marriage, like he kind of like, they blame him because he's only like appeasing the women, like he never really stands up for himself, so that's why they question his masculinity.
And he reveals that since the argument, he finds himself crying often after witnessing the emotional violence to the point he cannot handle everyday arguments.
Alright, so the major themes of art are cruelty and betrayal. The climax of the play is an act of cruelty and of betrayal. So Serge offers Mark the felt tip pen to defy his painting, which is a cruel act for somebody who just spent 200,000 francs on it. And in the end, it's revealed that Serge knew the ink was washable, which means he betrayed Mark's trust. And throughout the play, the main three characters are cruel to one another through the forms of emotional abuse. And then the next theme is friendship and codependence. So they've all been friends for like 15 years, and as the play progresses, the friends realize that codependence has begun to destroy their friendship. Mark battles with the fact that since he has been trying to mentor Serge, he has also become thus codependent on Serge to form his identity. In art, it's shown that friendships can only thrive when there's individuality and respect for your others. And then the last is ego and competition. So both Serge and Mark are very prideful people. So when Serge shows Mark the painting and he hates it, the two begin defending their sides to the death. And the message in the play is that in healthy friendships, people who are prideful, competitive, and egotistic have to put those things aside to really care about each other and and for change to be possible.
So here's a few photos of some of the past productions. And as you can see, like, it's sort of just modern day. You know, they've just got regular clothes on, and the set never really changes that much. And it's mainly just focused on this one flat, which is Serge's apartment, of this one particular painting.
And like down here, that's when he actually defaces the painting, so he draws like this little stick man. And then the description of the set. So the entire play takes place in their respective apartments, the only change being between them. Serge's flat has a painting with white stripes on a white canvas. Mark has a view of the Carcossinon, and Yavin's mantle has a painting of the Dube. The costumes they wear mainly feature everyday clothes because it's supposed to like feature more on their like struggles as friends more than like costumes or anything. So there's nothing special to them. It's set in the 1990s, and Reza wanted to focus, like I said, more on their friendship. And there's also very little props, the only prop being the white painting. And like we said, most of the scenes are just set in Serge's apartment.
She basically wanted most of the attention for her production to be focused on their friendship and not other things that could distract you.
So we're going to do a scene. Max is going to be Serge and I'll be Mark. And it's the opening scene where Serge tells Mark about the painting he just bought.
Okay, so we're going to use this as sort of the painting. So we'll just kind of put it right there.
All right. And see.
My friend Serge has bought a painting. It's a canvas about 5 feet by 4, white. The background is white, and if you screw up your eyes, you can make out some fine white diagonal lines. Serge is one of my oldest friends. He's done very well for himself. He's a dermatologist and he's really into art. On Monday, I went over to see the painting. Serge had actually got hold of it on Saturday, but he'd been lusting after it for several months. This white painting with white lines. So at Serge's, this is in Serge's apartment. Expensive?
200,000.
200,000?
Jean Delaney would take it off my hands for 220.
Who's that?
Delaney?
Never heard of him.
Jean Delaney? The Delaney Gallery?
The Delaney Gallery would take it off your hands for 220?
No, not the gallery. Him. Delaney himself. For his own collection.
So why didn't Delaney buy it?
It's important for them to sell to private clients. That's how the market circulates.
Uh-huh.
Well, you're not in the right place. Look at it from the angle. Can you see those lines?
What's the name of the
Painter? Arturos.
Well known.
Very, very.
Serge, you haven't bought this painting for 200,000 francs.
You do not understand. That's what it costs. And it's Arturos. You haven't bought
this painting for 200,000 francs?
I might have known. You'd missed the point.
You paid 200,000 francs for this. Shit.
My friend Mark, an intelligent enough guy. I've always valued our relationship. He has a good job. He's an engineer, but he's one of those new style intellectuals who not only enemies of modernism, but seem to take some sort of incomparable pride in running it down. In recent years, these nostalgic merchants have been quite breathtakingly arrogant.
What do you... Oh, that's you.
That's you.
No, you say, what do you mean this shit?
What do you mean this shit?
Serge, where's your sense of humor? Why aren't you laughing? It's fantastic. You buying this painting.
I don't care how fantastic you think it is. I don't mind if you laugh. But I would like to know what you mean by this shit.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not. By whose standards is it shit? If you call something shit, you need to have some critique to judge it by.
Who are you talking to? Who do you think you're talking to? Hello?
You have no interest whatsoever in contemporary paintings. You never have. This is a field about which you know absolutely nothing. So how can you assert that any given object which conforms to your law understand is shit?
Because it's shit. It's shit. I'm sorry.
Alright, scene.